Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL on a daily basis. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Erin Summers. Phase 3 of off-season workouts kicked off Tuesday with the start of OTAs, organized team activities. Teams are allowed to hold up to 10 practices over the next 4 weeks without pads and without contact. We're going to break down everything that happened day one and get some insight from Saints legends Deuce McAllister and Jahri Evans, who I caught up with at the Hall of Fame Celebrity Golf Classic on Monday. As I break down some of the highlights, we'll also hear from head coach Dennis Allen, new quarterback coach Andrew Janocko, new offensive line coach John Benton, and quarterback Derek Carr. I also talked with A.T. Perry after practice since he had the play of the day, so you'll hear that conversation as well. Now, let's get to it. Day one, it's important to keep in mind OTAs are not mandatory. However, attendance on day one was really good. A few players were out as they're rehabbing from injury, off-season surgeries like defensive ends Cam Jordan and Chase Young, right tackle Ryan Ramczyk, and cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry. Obviously, those players could not participate, but they have been around the building. They have been rehabbing. They've been getting acclimated to the playbook and doing walkthroughs as they can. Jordan actually did go through walkthrough on Tuesday and did some individual work. Veterans Demario Davis and Tyrann Mathieu, Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, all were in attendance. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, running backs Alvin Kamara, and Jamal Williams did not attend.
Well, look, I mean, I'd always love for 100% participation. I'm aware of why everybody that's not here is not here. Some of them personal reasons, some of them personal choice, whatever the case may be. I think really our focus really has got to be on the guys that are here, and let's work to get the guys that are here. Let's work to get those guys better. When guys aren't here, when they get here, we're going to welcome them with open arms, and we're going to go about getting ourselves ready for the 2024 season. And I think that's really all we can do.
Allen did say he spoke with Lattimore 2 to 3 weeks ago, and they had a positive conversation just to clear the air amid some trade rumors. He wanted to have that one-on-one conversation, so Lattimore was assured with where he stood and where the team stood, and DA fully expects Lattimore to be on the team this season. Over the next month, a lot of eyes will be on how the offense looks under new offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak and how quarterback Derek Carr and the rookies are adapting. While the players have been learning the offense since Kubiak got here months ago, this was the first time they were able to get on the field together and try it out. And I will say things seemed pretty seamless. They were quick in and out of the huddle, definite emphasis on pace, and it didn't look like there was any miscommunication on who was supposed to do what during team drills. Here is Carr and Allen with their thoughts on the offense and how Carr has responded to it so far.
At this point, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot of football, and I think it's a blessing because you get to learn and your knowledge and growth in so many areas. But this one for me with Clint and Janocko has just felt good. It's just felt right, and for me personally, it's something that you watch from afar and you're like, man, that'd be so fun to be a part of, and so I think, just skill set wise and the guys we have and myself included, just how we fit into what we're going to be asked to do. I'm just excited about that. I'm sitting there watching the film, getting excited, because it's going to, like I said before, it's going to look different, for our fans that have, seen a certain way for a long time, but I think it's good. It's exciting.
He's embraced everything that they're asking him to do. He's, been really attentive in meetings. He's taking control of, the offense, both on the field, in the classroom, all those things. And look, that's a difficult proposition for, any quarterback. And I think in particular a guy that's kind of been in the league for a long time and, getting to a Deuce system, I think can be a challenge. And for him to embrace the change, I think is positive.
The cool part about this time is we're all learning together, and there's something about going through it together. Like last year, I'm the guy learning everything new. I'm trying to play catch up while everyone's helping me. But the cool part about this is we're all starting over. And then I feel more of that leadership, that coaching role now. And so that excitement of, no, it's like this and that. But when you do something like that together, that brotherhood and that unity, it gets even tighter. And, I think that's the exciting part for us, is that we're going through it together. We're making the mistakes, we're learning, we're doing things together. So I think with that said, that brings more excitement too. Again, you watch the film and you're like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. But the excitement is the process of doing it to hope that we can make the cut up look like that too.
And this might be like a overly simplistic question, but like, now that you've been in it a little bit, like why do you think this offense had so much success?
Everything looks the same, to the defense, and coaches do a great job of making sure, hey, run, play action, pass, screen, everything looks the same, and it's a lot of moving parts. And so, and that's, just really, whoever started it and whoever's been coaching it, tip of the hat to them, because they do a fantastic job of making things look alike. And they could give you the playbook, but you don't know which one they're calling, And so I think that makes it really hard on the defense, and schematically for coordinators, So I just think that part to me has been really impressive, how everything looks the same. When the run game guy and the pass game guy are on the same page, and everyone's speaking the same, one voice, and it's one philosophy, and it's one, that right there breeds confidence in us as players that they're going to, put us in positions to have success.
The person that Carr will be working with very closely is new quarterback coach Andrew Janocko. He is a big fan of this quarterback room, which includes Jake Haener, rookie Spencer Rattler, and Nathan Peterman, who was signed in free agency.
I think it's a great competitive room. A bunch of smart guys, a bunch of competitive guys, a bunch of guys that are hungry and want to win. Those are the type of players we want in that room. It'll be fun to see those guys compete every day. They compete with each other in the room. They compete with each other on the field. They go play golf with each other, which I'm gonna get Haener's handicap here eventually, but I haven't gotten there yet. I hear he's good. He's pretty good.
Not to give away the shop, but one of some of the new things that you guys are kind of have to do.
Well, it's just as far as getting back to training his feet in the way that we like within our offense, training his feet, training his progressions, understanding our nomenclature, the way we're going to call plays, the way we're going to call motions. That's all stuff that, just a continuous effort to get everybody together.
Veteran guy who's seen a lot in this league, but what's the adjustment been like?
I think it's been pretty good. There's a lot carryover from things he's done throughout his past, throughout his career. And then there's some new stuff that we've asked him to do that he's really embraced. And it's been a lot of cool communication between him, myself, Clint, just to get everybody on the same page.
What are just kind of, this might be a weird question, but just what are like maybe two or three, like kind of like your pillars of like coaching? Like what are the kind of things you guys, you want to keep these on your hats?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is we're going to have an open line of communication. Everybody's got to trust each other. We're going to put them in the best position, and, we're going to trust that they go execute at a high level. And then, obviously, we're going to listen to our feet. Our feet are everything. We're built from the ground up. And then just decisive decision making, playing fast, being committed to what you decide, and letting it rip.
Well, what about you and Clint? Do you think kind of works well? You guys been together for a while.
Yeah, that's like we've known each other for a long time. Just trust each other. I trust him. Try to do a good job for him. His whole family. It's been really important to me and my development as a coach. So I think it's just us being on the same page, me trying to anticipate what he wants and go to work for him best of my ability.
This is an offense that will look to establish a run game. We saw Taysom Hill working with the fullbacks during individual drills, which is different from what we saw last year, as he primarily took reps with the quarterbacks or tight ends during practices.
I think Taysom Hill can flourish in any role he embraces. I think there's a lot of things that he can do. And so, look, I think there's going to be a learning process that goes along with this. But there's a lot of different things that he can do. And I wouldn't say a lot of it is totally different than some of the things that he's done in the past for us. So, I think with a new staff in here and a new scheme, we're going to look at, like we were talking about with the offensive line, we're going to look at, okay, what can Taysom do? And where can we utilize him in this scheme where he can help us win football games.
But don't worry, people. DA did say we'd still see a lot of designed quarterback runs from Taysom Hill this season. And I want to throw to my interview with Deuce McAllister here, as he had some good insight into this new look offense from a running back perspective.
All right, Deuce, out here at the golf tournament, why do you like coming to this event every year, seeing some former Saints players, people that you played with, and then some of the new guys out here too?
Yeah, I think it's always important to be able to get in the community. Anytime you can come out with some of the fans and you talk about some of the customers that obviously support the Saints is always good. And then they give back to the community. I think that's probably the most important part about it. Another fantastic thing about it when you talk about New Orleans is you talk about the restaurants that come out and they support it. And so you're not only saying the city of Kenner, but a lot of restaurants from around the surrounding areas, get to showcase their food. And we're not short of any great food or cuisine for that matter.
Yeah, typical of New Orleans. The OTAs starting up here soon, and a lot of new people, obviously new faces on the staff. What are you expecting over the next month?
Well, I think that one of the things that you want them to go out there and do is play fast. I think that's always important. But then to see what those guys can handle as far as verbiage, to be able to see exactly what they can go out there and do from a coaching standpoint, knowing who can do what, just getting a better understand, a better feel. And, I know they've been able to do a lot of things in the classroom up until this point, but it'll be good to get them to go out there and, run around a little bit. And I know there's some new excitement, new energy, et cetera. So, hopefully it leads to wins.
You talked about the verbiage. How different is it when a play call is maybe 3 words long versus 10 or more?
Well, I think you can get as elaborate. I mean, you have to understand that was over almost a 20-year process, the offense that you come from. So when we started that offense back in 2006, it wasn't, kind of what it was at the end. And so there was different things that were added. There were different tags that were added. And so it's almost like starting over. So it's not like it'll be simpler. It'll be simpler in words, but, you still have to go out and execute. And then, guys have to have answers to the question when it maybe not what it looked like on the board. What do I do now? And so the biggest thing is playing fast and not having a lot of mistakes, and then giving them answers to the test, before they go and take the test, and that's obviously the game.
Who are you looking forward to this upcoming season, whether it's a rookie from last year and the growth that you're expecting to see, or maybe one of the new guys?
Not necessarily from a player. I'm looking for player groups, not just one player. I think from the aspect of up front, I think that offensive line wants to bounce back. And so it's not just one player on that offensive line. I think it's a collective group on that offensive line, and then defensive line as well. Those guys, they know that they have to produce more sacks. They have to slow down the run game. And so in the trenches is going to be critical for this team to have success. You've got weapons on the outside, and you got good pieces inside as well. But, they have to come together, and they have to, early in the season, it's not an easy road. And so if you can be 500 or above 500, you help yourself tremendously, particularly how that schedule starts.
As a former running back, would you enjoy playing in this system?
Yeah, I think this system gives, a lot of flexibility for the run game. They can be versatile. They can run the power game. They can run, some of the zone looks. And, it's going to eye candy you a little bit with the motions and the misdirections. But, at the end of the day, it's about getting downhill.
All right, Cam Jordan always complains about these cold weather games. The schedule just got released. Was it really that bad?
He'll get to enjoy it. It's the snow. It's the ice. That's what you don't like from a player standpoint, because it throws you off. And so you have to adjust your body to it. But had a few of them in my career. Cam, I'll be warm, and, I'll have coffee. I'll have tea. I'll think of you as I look down. It'll still be cold because I have to have the window open, but I'll be a lot warmer than you are.
Yes, in the booth. You enjoying being in the booth and doing those games?
Oh yeah, I enjoy it. It gives you an opportunity to still be involved and still to see it and just to talk about it. So I enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Offensive line is most definitely going to be an area of focus, with Ryan Ramczyk still dealing with a knee injury, Andrus Peat signing with the Raiders in free agency, and James Hurst retiring. The Saints only have 2 positions on the line locked up: right guard Cesar Ruiz and center Eric McCoy. Tuesday, rookie Taliese Fuaga started with the ones at left tackle. Trevor Penning started at right tackle, and Nick Saldiveri took reps at left guard. DA said Fuaga and Penning swapping sides is something they are going to continue to look at.
You're going to see a few things throughout the course of training camp where we're going to, maybe try some different things. I think that's kind of the direction that we're looking at right now. and really working Taliesin over on the left side and giving Trevor an opportunity to work on the right side. We're still waiting to see, where Ryan Ramczyk is when we get, probably to training camp, be the first time that we would even potentially see him. So I think that's kind of the thought process.
It's almost a clean slate with Trevor. You got a new line coach.
Yeah,
you got a new offense coordinator.
I think one of the reasons why you look at potentially putting him over on the right side is exactly that. It's a totally clean slate. It's a different position. It's a different coaching staff. It's a different scheme, and it's really hey, we're starting over here. We're starting new. And so I'm excited about it. I think, I think it could be something good for him. And look, we haven't set anything in stone. We're going to evaluate how everything goes. And ultimately our job is to get the best 5 out there come opening day. And we'll go through that full process to figure that out.
Tuesday was also the first time we got a chance to talk to new offensive line coach John Benton about his thoughts regarding the line. Here's his conversation with John DeShazer and some of the media.
What's going to be your philosophy with this offensive
line? Philosophy as a whole, kind of as opposed to just being strong and physical and trying to knock them off the ball, which obviously I hope we do. The emphasis is really on cutting off pursuit, winning angles against the defense and that type of thing. So we take a more athletic approach from that standpoint. And those are the kind of principles we're trying to do now.
Do you feel you have those type players on this roster?
I do. I think the talent is there. I was another lack of a better term, I was drooling over Eric McCoy when he was coming out in the draft. I'm very excited to be with him. Caesar, I could say the same thing, Trevor's a great, we have some athletes that are more than capable of what we need to do. And a lot of times it's just a little different in mindset that we get that instilled in them. I think we'll be successful.
I know it's early. I know a lot of the emphasis is going to be on Trevor Penning, but what have you seen from Trevor so far?
Everything's very positive so far. I think, as I said, I think he's experienced, from what I've heard anyway, he's experienced some bad luck. Just the fact that we're 18 days into it, and he's been at every practice, every training session. Is healthy, feels good. I thought he looked good today. I think all arrows are up on Trevor right now, and just keep that going.
Fuaga plays right tackle all through college. Trevor's played his whole life, and you guys flip-flop them. What are we thinking? What's the philosophy behind that? Yeah.
Well, really, it all started before we knew we had Fuaga.
Yeah.
We just really felt like Trevor, from his experience and whatnot, needed a fresh start. And I'm really of the belief there's not that much difference between right and left tackle. So, and with Ramczyk probably being an injured casualty, let's move Trevor over there. And then Tally has had experience at left tackle and definitely is the athlete to do it over there. So just decided to stay with it after the draft. And I think we won't know, but it looks good so far. I think they're both responded well.
Why do you think it's not that big of a?
Well, I think it used to go through the season and the best pass rushers were always on our left, and that's not true anymore. Defense has got smart, and it's maybe not 50-50, but close to it. We're a very ambidextrous offense from a run game standpoint. You used to put your big slobber knocker at right tackle and your athletic guy at left tackle, but we're going to go both directions and be athletic. So I really don't, the characteristics we need for both tackles are essentially the same.
Now let's hear from assistant offensive line coach Jahri Evans, who I caught up with at Chateau Country Club as part of Hall of Fame Weekend's celebrity golf tournament.
Jahri, thank you for joining me on the podcast. OTAs start this week. You got a lot going on, new offensive line coach, a lot of new on the offense in general. How have things been going, getting used to Clint Kubiak, his system, and what you guys are trying to do this year?
Yeah, I think things have been going well. The players been in for a few weeks, and everybody's excited about the new scheme, the new offense, and I'm learning a new offense as well. So I'm excited for it, and I think everything is moving smoothly so far.
Watching rookie minicamp, it looked like the offensive line did line up in a little different positioning. How does it change things for the line?
I don't think it changes too much, especially with the younger guys, because they're just coming into the fold. and our coaches feel like, guys can play both sides of the ball. So I think if you have vets that have been playing one side for a long time and then trying to switch to another side, it's a little bit different. But, our guys are young, hungry, and eager to go out there and learn.
Speaking of some of the young guys, Taliese Fuaga came in, made a lot of noise because he came in as a right tackle. We saw him on the left side. How has he been just to work with early on?
Yeah, I did hear some of the noise about him switching sides, but, Tali is a very athletic tackle. I don't think he's going to struggle with it at all. He's been looking great with the things that coaches been asking him to do, what we've been teaching him, and he's actually progressing well in the classroom as well. So I don't think Tali's going to struggle just by playing on the left side. You have guys, typically tackles, can move, most of them, but I think in our scheme, in our offense, what we're going to ask those guys to do, he'll be just fine.
Can you just tell me about the playbook? How much smaller is it? Just as a piece of paper, how much smaller is it than Coach Payton's?
It's a good question. I don't think it's technically smaller. It just may be a little bit less verbiage. Okay. I think Coach has a lot of different ways to run multiple plays and who to target on defense, and I just think it's a little less verbiage and less thinking schematically that the guys have to do before the ball is snapped. But it's still a version of the West Coast. It's a West Coast style version. We're going to run the ball. We got great running backs, and we're going to air it out as well. So, but I think it's definitely a little bit easier digested, by the guys.
For you have a new offensive line coach that you're working alongside, and Coach John Benton. Yeah. What's he been like? JB's
been awesome. He's been amazing. For me, it's a different style of technique that I've been taught over the years. So I'm super excited just to learn something new that's been successful across the NFL. But JB's awesome. He likes my input. He always asks me for my input, him and Rico and the guys. So, I'm excited just to see the guys get the pads on in training camp right now. We're just in shorts and jerseys, but I'm excited to see the guys, put forth what they've been working on.
Out here at the Saints Hall of Fame golf tournament, Chateau. What's your golf game like?
Not that good, actually. It's only my second time out this year. I haven't really played a lot of golf since I've been back coaching, but I swing pretty good, and I don't have my clubs, so I got to rent some clubs. So that's always my struggle is the shorter clubs.
What do you enjoy about coming out here to this event?
I enjoy just meeting a lot of the, Saints Hall of Famers, seeing those guys, the older guys, just reminiscing with them, talking ball with them, and just really just seeing everybody because you don't really get to see everybody during the season because everybody's so busy. So that's what I enjoy most about it.
Okay, thanks so much. And hopefully you hit them, long and straight? Yeah, is that hard and up and down?
There you go. Long and straight, up and down.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, now for the good stuff, like what actually happened on the field. Some of the plays that we saw during teams and players that stood out. On the second 7-on-7 rep for Derek Carr, Alante Taylor, who was playing outside corner, jumped the route and broke up a pass intended for wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr. That was the first PBU of the day. He was fired up, as was the rest of the defense. Later, Rattler threw a ball a little high to running back Jacob Cabody. Cabody tipped it, and defensive back Fan Hicks caught the deflection for an interception. Offensively, I would have to say quarterback Jake Haener had the best day overall. Out of the quarterbacks and really anybody, he just stood out. He was confident. He was executing extremely well. During 11-on-11 drills, he was actually able to jump up and recover a high snap, find Chris Olave about 30 yards deep down the left sideline. He dropped the ball right in front of Olave, who was in stride and just out of reach of the DBs for the catch. Haener also hit A.T. Perry for the play of the day. I alluded to it earlier. It was a one-handed grab that only Perry could have gotten to with his height. Here's A.T. Last year, you obviously got more playing time as the season went on, kind of got into your game a little bit more. How can you build off of that this season?
Just being consistent, not get complacent. Just keep studying, keep working. And all that work just pays off, That goes for all of us as a team. So, I have high hopes for the team. High hope for these players, these coaches, and everything. I feel like we're going to do really good this year. So
you got to learn a whole new offensive game plan last year. You got to do it again this year. Mm-hmm. What do you like about Kubiak's system?
I feel like it's more understandable, just the concepts, the plays and everything. And just going out there and executing them every day, and breaking down the details of the routes. You know, saying the timing and everything with the QBs. Just making sure we're all on the same page when we go out there. So, you know, it's been fun so far. I got to talk to him a little bit, but, you know, just him understanding, you know, what our goals are as a team. And for me as well, you know, just going out, just making plays and being the best. So.
Okay, speaking of making plays, I think you had the play of the day with the one-handed catch. Can you just walk me through that?
The deep dig route, I was getting held up a little bit, but I had to, you know, make sure I was there on time. So I got out of the break and I seen the ball in the air. So just, you know, just put a hand up, you know, something will happen. But I caught it and, you know, it was a good play, but I hope to make many more like that.
So much came out of day one, and it's only going to get better. The next practice that is open to the media is May 28th. That's next Tuesday, so we'll have a ton more coverage for you. If you missed anything from this week, just head to NewOrleansSaints.com. If you have any specific questions from this week or things you want me to look out for next week, hit me up on X at Erin E. Summers. As always, thank you so much for listening, and enjoy your holiday weekend.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.